You're listening to Rewilding Humanity, the podcast for those who've walked through the fire and came back with medicine. I'm Christopher Nkour, artist, plant alchemist, and a woman initiated by illness, grief, and spirit. Here, we rise from collapse, reclaim our wild, and remember who the hell we are. Let's get into it. Oh my God, I feel like I haven't talked to you. We've only met once in person, haven't we?
Yeah, I was gonna say, since we were gathered around the fire
Yeah,
forest.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've just, I don't know, kept in each other's orbit over the past few years.
Yeah. And I have been listening to your podcast and absolutely love every episode. I'm like, there's some major and important truths that you're speaking that are vital to this world right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's so heavy. All the first episodes are just like, oh, and I died. And then, oh, and my business partner almost died. And then, oh, a little bit of love. And then, no, it was actually not real. And
It's so real though, Krista. And that is what that's the medicine the world needs. Because we're all living those lives that are like down, all around, roller coaster, like nothing's making sense to anybody. So when somebody's into that, and in a very grounded way, you're putting it together very grounded. So anyways, I resonate deeply with it.
I try, and it really feels like, yeah, I don't know, a calling or a purpose that seems to help heal something in me too. And yeah, that part feels good.
For sure. Yes, I know. And generations past, they're like, why are you speaking so much? And
Totally.
because we're here to speak, because we need to free the future. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are definitely people in my life that are just like, what are you doing? And so worried about, I don't know, backlash or people taking advantage. And it's different. It's a different generation. And I think like our generation just values these types of stories and transparency and being able to connect with others in a way that previous generations just didn't.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so psyched to be chatting with you today. I have been reading your book. So good.
Yay.
I love it. I look forward to bedtime because I get to crawl into bed and read. And you remind me so much of me in my younger years.
Totally.
Shocker, Libra energy, right? Like you have way more than I do, but yeah, the travel and just the party and the connecting and all of those things. That was like such a huge part of my 20s and early 30s. And so, yeah, it's just really fun to connect with that again.
Yeah. Yeah. And the wide eyes, I think, we can totally make this world a better place. We can totally do that.
Yeah.
It's a very Libran outlook on life.
Yeah.
I'm here to help humanity. And then in the last couple of years, we've been getting such a master class. I'm like, but how are you doing?
Yeah. Totally. Right. So true. Yeah. And I forgot about that part of myself too. Like I remember this campaign that I launched to build a school in Rwanda in my 20s. And yeah, there was like all of these social causes and things that I always wanted to be a part of. And like justice has always been like a huge thing in my life and something that I'm being presented with again in a totally different way. But yeah, that is very much that Libra energy. And yeah, I don't know. It's just cool to see it reflected in you too.
I feel the same.
Yay. There's a few things that I want to chat with you about today.
Yay.
But to get started, let's just do a background. Just tell everybody who you are, what you're doing, all of the things.
Who am I? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like my now self is Tamara, almost 40. I'm turning 40 in September and I'm so
Mm.
excited.
Welcome to the club.
I'm excited. I'm like, okay, cool. I am deeply grounded into my home in Lake Country for a lot of different reasons. So, yeah, I live just outside of Kelowna and mainly mama to the most wild, incredible 9-year-old kiddo that I have ever met. Easiest and best part of my life. And I work at his school
Oh, do you?
for a lot of different reasons, but I do noon hour supervision at a school. That's been a really intriguing thing over the last little while. But when I'm not doing that, I am mainly doing astrology every day, couple readings a day, building programs to teach it, to help others to learn about it. And also, I marry people. So I'm a life celebrant. So I'm doing a lot of weddings and a lot of ritual around dying before we get married and then uniting into marriage. And that work led me to self marriage. And one of my other main focuses is to help people come home before doing the external union and deeply meeting the Hyros Gamos within, which is the sacred marriage, the feminine masculine piece, and having both of those online, maybe in the midst of being in union with someone else. But for me, it's definitely like a precursor to it.
Mm.
And so that's taken a lot of my energy and attention over the last couple of years sporadically. And so I'm actually moving into doing more teaching around that self marriage piece. I do a lot of workshops here in Lake Country with it. And then just published my first book. And there is another hot and heavy behind me, but I am like, I'm emptying for now and we'll see what will come in 2026.
Amazing. I'm so curious to talk about the self marriage and astrology, of course, because I love it. What is it exactly? I have a bit of an idea. I have a girlfriend who, this was like 10 years ago when I was living overseas, and I had just met her, and she was explaining to me how she had just went through the self-marriage ceremony in Bali. And I was like, whoa, that's cool, but just have never really explored it. Where I currently am in my life right now, I'm like, intrigued. Tell me more.
I feel like so many people are coming around to it. I honestly always with my life feel like I hear things before they make sense. And so for me, I didn't even know it was a thing. I had always been asked by all my friends to be in their weddings. It was a very common thing for me to be either standing up in a wedding or emceeing a wedding or doing something. And then finally, friends started asking me to marry them and their partners. And in Manitoba, it's like really easy to do that, but you get like a piece of paper for the day and you're ordained. But in BC, it's actually like you have to go through a program in order to do it and get ordained as a metaphysical minister if you're not in a sort of typical religious association. And so I started doing A Course in Miracles as the course. That's like how I came to being an ordained minister. And at the same time, I had this fantastic mentor who was truly like a witch in the woods, Lori Mayers. May her soul just fly free above us all. She is now liberated from this world, but at the time, she was also teaching me A Course in Miracles and but on her porch, like with a cigarette in her hand, helping me to understand it. And if you've ever gone through Course in Miracles, it turns your lens on everything inside out. And everything was being turned upside down, inside out for me. And I was doing a wedding. It was September of 2021. I want to say it was right around the time that COVID wouldn't allow a big group to come together, maybe 2022. And I felt myself in the middle of the ceremony go, what the hell? We all just want to go to these weddings and get the Instagram photos. And it's like there's so much attention around the wedding, but no one is actually doing this inner work since we've left the religious world, right? If we're not religious and we're not like actually having to meet with the minister and do some of this inner work. We're just like getting married because it like looks good. And it's not true. Like lots of people are getting married for love. But there was this loudness that day for me. And I've always had a deep relationship with the woods, but I've had little pieces and forests everywhere I've lived. They've always shown up. And I had one in West Kelowna that I buried a crystal with long ago, like when I went to leave there 5 years prior. And so I drove to those woods that day and dropped my knees and felt like I needed to dig up this crystal that I had buried there so long ago. And I have no idea why. I was just, this is crazy mindset that I go through. So I went and I dug up this crystal. And as soon as I held it in my hands, I heard the term self marriage. And I was like, what even is that? What does that mean? I had no freaking clue. I had never heard of it before. But in that moment, I felt this energy, and I always am like communing with my ancestors, but I could feel them like filing into the forest. All of the women in my lineage who never had the chance to do this, I could just feel it was like I had goosebumps everywhere. I just felt this like long line of women around me and around this tree that I was a part of. And I like walked around the tree 3 times clockwise. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. I just followed whatever was inside of me. And I envisioned that there was this really magical mirror in front of me that I was seeing of myself. And it was like, why are we always going outward to try to find what we're trying to find? And I looked into that mirror and I said the same things that day that I wanted a partner or someone to say to me. And I just spoke to my heart. I was like, I am here for you. I got you. I got your back. Like all the things that I ever wanted someone to say to me. And I could just feel this like tension in the forest and this movement. And shit like that happens to me a lot. And so it wasn't that weird, but I listened to a few songs as I was coming out of the forest. I got to my car and I was like, what was that? And I literally Googled self-marriage that day. I saw that it is a movement and that lots of people are doing it around the world. I saw that though there's still this piece with it where like people are organizing their own weddings and inviting people. And that was not what I was there for. That was not at all what it was about for me. I've actually toyed so many times with calling it the inner union or the inner journey instead of self-marriage, because self-marriage lends itself again to the institution of marriage, which is not something I necessarily fully engage in. But ultimately, that's what it is. Like, how do we do this thing inside of us first? And then I, as an astrologer, started to see it in the chart and in readings show up. We have this Venus and Mars, this inner feminine and masculine that's in us. It's not in anybody else. It's inside of us. And we spend the majority of our early life trying to find that outwardly. And we call it in. And if you go to astrologers and you ask, like, when will I get married or when will I find a partner? They'll usually look to your relationship house and the ruler of it. They'll look to your Mars. They'll look to your Venus. There'll be like this conversation that happens around it. But the truth is, it's all in you first. And so for me, the inner marriage is instead of trying to find that perfect mate, you become it. You are it.
Mhm.
You totally assume the sense of yourself that's like trying to feast on something outside of you that just will never, ever nourish you. And you find it and you like come home to it every day. And you have to take vows because in this world, it's like every freaking day you're going to go off course, like every day. And that's why we used to have temples and churches and things that people would come and light a candle and pray every day. Like they were praying to their inner God, but we were doing it externally. And it was so natural and normal for thousands of years. And so now it's every day I have these mirrors behind me and I literally like walk by and catch a glance and I'll just go up to it and be like, I
Mm.
you're the love of my life. And it's just, it has broken me wide open in so many ways. And I was a serial boy hungry lady. And it's all for that book that I wrote is like there was just this constant search for it everywhere. And so it's taken a lot of unwinding, but to me, that's what self-marriage is.
I love that. And I feel like that's the biggest lesson for Libra, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Highest version.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, friends. I've got something exciting for you. Rewilding Humanity Unfiltered is now on Patreon with a 7-day free trial. This is a portal where you'll get bonus episodes, behind the scenes updates, early access to new content, and a private community where we go deeper into the conversations from the show. Supporting the show is like buying me one latte a month, and it makes such a big difference in keeping this work alive and growing. So if the podcast has been meaningful to you, I'd love for you to try it out. Just hit the link in the show notes to start your free 7-day trial today. I can't wait to see you there. Looking instead of, because we always want union and we want that connection of another who reflects that equal partnership to us. And yeah, I think until we can get to that place of really loving ourselves, then that's just really not possible.
And I go back and forth in my mind all the time to like the truth of how we often can only heal in partnership
Mm.
and how we are deeply meant to be mated. And I don't deny that. And nor do I think, do you have to be perfectly healed to attract the perfect mate? That's definitely not our truth. But what I find that the deeper part of self-marriage work is saying that when something happens with this person that I've chosen to be with, and thinking about it for a very long time before you choose it too, or like really going through ritual together. Really, we need to go back to there being like rites of passages where we walk through the fire with that person first before we commit fully. When we are fully committed, like I just got in my sort of career of starting to do weddings, I was like, I don't want to have a bunch of people that get divorced because things get hard. Was like a very easy to like, oh yeah, I got to go as soon as things got hard in relationship myself. And so I had to do so much like work on what truly is self-marriage. And is it something I do think it can happen after 20 years of marriage and it can add and enhance your relationship with self, but does it need to happen before marriage? Maybe not, but it's still that piece of like eyes pointed inward.
Mhm.
And what can I do to really make myself happy? It's like breaking codependency with everything. Make myself happy, to be responsible for my own emotions, to not point the finger out. And to be honest, it makes it easier to know in a situation that maybe you've experienced that when it's not the right person, the more I truly commit to myself, the easier it is for me to actually turn away from the wrong people. And this is such a sort of pervasive thing in our culture, is because we yearn so badly for the white picket fence and the fucking house with 2.3 kids and the dog, we're willing to look past so much. And I think for some of us, like that just will never be enough to just do that sort of mainstream thing. And you know, how if you're so deeply committed to that inner peace, like making those hard ass decisions comes a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I can see that reflected just in my recent experience because I have done a lot of work and should have maybe seen signs a little bit earlier, or I did. But again, there was like that kind of, I don't know, give him the second chance kind of thing. But when it really came down to it, it was like, no, like I'm protecting my peace, I'm protecting myself. I've been through literal hell already, and I'm not willing to continue to expose myself to something that feels harmful. Whereas in the past, there was definitely like, oh my God, just fucking chaos and continuing the cycle. And Yeah, it does feel, and for me, I had to do this in other ways, but there's just a level of self-respect and love to just say enough.
Totally. I felt that like the one message I sent you when I'd seen that and we were going to record this and you were just like you knew your limit.
Mm.
And to be honest, yeah, we're all getting like fucking multicolored flags. I don't know if they're always red completely,
Mm.
green completely. We're just so hyper analyzing everything in this culture. But there is a limit, like in our inner marriage, where it's enough is enough. And I've blown past that multiple times earlier in my life. And so that's why this work is so important to me because I just saw that you hit that and then you honored it and now enough is enough. And I'm willing to do the things to make myself safe so that that's that boundary is now a hard line in the sand. Before we dive in, if you love what you're hearing on Rewilding Humanity, pause this episode for 60 seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. As a thank you, every month I'm doing a draw for a bottle of my handmade medicinal herbal oil. And yes, it's free shipping worldwide. Just leave a review, screenshot it, and DM me on Instagram. Your words help more people find these conversations, and you might just get some plant magic in the mail.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious about these ceremonies. I'm coming down to the Okanagan soon, and I feel like it might be something cool to do. Like, how often do you host them? Is it like a one-on-one thing?
I'm doing the next one I'm going to be doing in November.
Okay.
And I urge people to do them on their own. This time I'm going to do 3 build up online calls to actually set up the technology of the intermarriage. But it is like this piece between the way that we're created, which we have seen so much as like the 3, right? Like the holy triad of the mother, the father, the child, or the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Like you can see this triad in almost every culture, everything. And it's definitely in the astrology as well, because we just have all these different codes of being able to see that holy triad. But I think there's so much important work for me to do in setting that up before we actually come to the mirror. And so in November, I'm going to do 3 buildups. And then on November 22nd, I have this beautiful space that I rent and we do some parts work in it. Like we do some parts work to reclaim the parts of us that we've denied. So people can do that in all kinds of ways, right? It's just honestly, make a list of all the things that you have shamed yourself for and then find a name for that and call her back home. So
Mm.
big one that like we work with is the inner addict, the
Mm.
part that just wanted to merge with God. And that can be love addiction, that can be whatever, pick your poison. It's like so many things, but instead of like constantly pushing that part of you away in your mind, even every time you think about yourself, there's such shame that can come up because you're thinking about these things that you've done in the past. Or the inner stripper is one that I bring forth because it's like there is a seductress in you that wants to come out, that just deeply wants to be felt. And all of those parts, like that's who we're actually marrying. Is like bring those all home. And so I just urge people during the ceremony, we do a dance to bring all of that back in. My one girlfriend, I love her. She called me the DJ of emotions because it's like the music is really meant to just like fully enrapture yourself with God. Like that inner addict of mine is actually the part of me that holds so much magic. And if I like sat down with her instead of denying her and vilifying her, if I actually sat down with her, we're like the inner rage queen. Like my sister has this alter ego that's like the lady off Resident Evil. I can't remember her name now, but she's just Alice.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's my sister's alter ego. And it's like that part of us that's just so fucking badass, but hasn't been able to be badass because of our society and the way that things have happened and occurred. So, anyways, we just pull these out through music, through vibration, and we call her out. The part of us that wants to be wealthy and like desired and all of those parts we bring into that ceremony. And then I create a really private space where no one watches the person, but I do set up spaces for the ancestors to be present. So very similar to what I had in the forest, which again, I urge everybody, if you're listening, like you can create this ceremony on your own but I create it like a Libra, true Libra does, with the most beautiful ornate mirror and all the candelabras and red velvet and just the sexiest, sweetest energy that I can. And then people come back and they speak their vows. And I say people because I just had my first male sign up
Mm.
for one. And I debated accepting males in because, to be honest, a lot of them are married to themselves without trying. And this is something we need to learn and not necessary for all. But I spoke to him and I said, a lot of my languaging is around being taught these habits of pushing these parts of ourselves away. And as long as you're okay with that being directed towards the feminine, I think it would be really helpful to have you there. And I actually think it would be really brave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I make the space and it's very private. I have one witness. If people want to be witnessed, I often have one of my beautiful friends, sisters that comes and just is there to witness the moment for the person.
Mm.
And yeah, that's the ritual.
I love it. Yeah, I can just see that being so potent and just the intention behind it too. Anytime you do a ceremony with intention, it creates a huge shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Like a lot of people have come away from it and just been like, I'm just choosing myself, just choosing to honor this big life inside of me. I'm not being so small. I'm like, there's just something in the room on those moments. And this last time it was like we had this crazy downpour while we were all dancing. It was so perfectly timed to just let it go, let the angst and all of it go, and then to come back into what the hell do I want? Because here's the thing about the astrology is that 80 years ago ish, Neptune was in Libra for 14 years. And we really have so much art and poetry and music and movies and songs and everything that we ingest from that generation or from people born in that generation that was like idealizing the mirror, the marriage, the perfect partnership.
Mm.
But just this year, Neptune has moved into Aries. We're having that opposition to it. And the next 14 years are going to be about how much can I be with myself? How much can I actually look in that mirror and walk through the hell? And I encourage everyone who is going through hell because hell is here on earth with us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like those are the moments right now where it's if we can look in the mirror and really be with that part of us that instead our skin is crawling and we want to walk away from, that's what our generation is going to be creating from for the next decade. And it is way different than our ancestors. And so a lot of people hear this and they're like, oh my God, it's so selfish. And that, how could you do that? And you're going to disrupt the natural harmony of families and stuff. And it's actually, this is going to be where the new harmony of true union comes from.
Mm.
Because anything that's not that is going to dissolve. Like anything that isn't, I need to honor this thing inside of me. And it's gonna create different unions than what we're used to, what we've been alive for. No, none of us have been alive for Neptune and Aries. None of us is it was in the 1860s, 1870s. So unless there's some cool long living energies out there, like none of us had really known what this is like or where this will take us. But I do think that getting to that like deep seed inside of us is what we're here to do. And you don't have to do like all the other seeking to get there, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. It just makes me think of conversation I had with a girlfriend last night. We went for coffee and we were talking about just past partnerships. In her case, she was a stepmom and ended in heartbreak because she's losing so many people, not just a partner. And I think in the future, if I meet somebody who has children that are like still at home, I think we just have to have a different living situation where I have my own home. And some women, I don't know, because my previous relationship included children as well. And it's really complicated. And I was very clear from the beginning that I'm not here to be a mom, right? I have my own goals and my own ambitions, and I'm happy to be a trusted mentor and a friend and a protector, but not their mom and not take on all of that additional work. But it's just a natural thing that occurs, right? When you share a home with someone, when you're a woman, you just end up taking on all of the stuff, right? And then the resentment builds. And so I thought that was really interesting. And she's been through a lot of hard things. And so you get to a point where you really figure out what you need. And when you're choosing yourself, and some people might be like, oh my God, like that's so selfish. What the fuck are you thinking? But this is the only way that I can imagine self-preservation in a scenario like that. And it may not look traditional, but that's what works for me. If it doesn't work for the other person, then okay. If they're looking for a mom for their kid or whatever, then maybe that's somebody else.
Fully. I truly have always my whole life been like the best case scenario would be I have my cabin here, he has his cabin here, and we have a cool tunnel between them. Crawl through or you can shut it off. And to be honest, some people have lived that way. That's not as abnormal as we think. And I truly think with Neptune and Aries, that's exactly what is happening. It is this, just as we used to have like families that all lived together,
Mhm.
grandparents, grandkids and stuff, and aunts and uncles and all of the, there was an amazing part of that. And then there was also this really toxic part of it. And so we separated into these nuclear families. And if now there's almost another separation that needs to happen, it's like the cells dividing. But imagine how, when everybody feels like they've had their space and they know who they are and they can come to the table in that wholeness and fullness, like the extraordinary energy that can come from, that's what I'm here for. That's what I think that will just by nature start to happen over the next decade. There's a lot of people that are going to feel like that might be the better solution than being on top of each other. And you do instantly start to resent people when you have to overdo for them. First, maybe not the first, but one of the first generations to speak that, but it's been felt by generations. And imagine what our grandmothers could have done if they weren't always just doing everything for everyone else, and what some of them did do already with that. But we are truly just, we're here to realize something about ourselves. That self-realization is going to be so deeply important over the next while. And it almost brings us to that essence of being able to live in community easier and to be like have more harmony among
Mhm.
it, to be less isolated. Even though we're talking about like separate living spaces, it's like we're living near each other. I don't know. I can see that there's like this beautiful new way of being that is truly opening up. Feels so weird because it's like this new vision, but I think it could be marvelous. We
Mhm.
need a society like that.
Yeah. Love living in a home with a partner, but the issue is not allowing those boundaries to blur too much because there's always this expectation that when you live with someone or like you decide to marry someone or whatever, any sort of relationship like that, it's like everything becomes one. And at the age of 40, right, I've lived a long life already. And I'm a whole person myself. And I have goals and I have ambitions. And I would expect that person to as well. And I think the healthiest relationships are when those lines don't get too blurred, because that's where the growth comes, right? If you're able to continue building what your vision is, you can have the support of the other person, but without becoming so enmeshed.
Totally. I think it's just as we learn more and more about enmeshment and deep codependency, and we try to extract ourselves from that, it will be like a natural coming apart to also come together again. There is always going to be this flow, but how long like the cycle will be like that, and it's not for everyone, I'm sure. There are people listening, they're like, I can never.
Yeah.
Cool, man. It's not for everybody. Totally
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, I just see this really incredible thing. And as people get more clear on who they are, then they can bring more to the community as well. If the blacksmith never knew that he was a blacksmith because he never got a chance to explore his passions, how could he ever bring his blacksmithing to the community? So, same thing for me. Like, it strongly has been a part of my sort of isolation in life, or trips that I've taken, or pieces that have like really been focused on my soul, that help me to remember my gifts that I then can bring to the community. But without that, it is a life unlived. And I think that that's just not something that I personally am fully willing to compromise.
No, me neither. It's so true. When your a whole life is determined on self-sacrifice and doing for others, what life are you truly living?
Yeah.
And that's not to say giving and helping and support, like all of those things are super important. But when it becomes your entire identity,
Yeah.
I have to tell you about something I created that's been changing people's lives. It's called Brainbow from Mindful Meds. I formulated it with a special saffron extract that has a ton of clinical evidence showing it's as effective as SSRIs for mood support, but without the side effects. The feedback has been insane. More calm, sharper thinking, deeper focus without jitters, and even restful sleep with resilient mornings. One person told us, "I'm a machine on this Brainbow." And another said they were actually crying because their brain felt so clear. If you want to experience it for yourself, head to mindfulmeds.io and use the code WILDMIND for 15% off your first order. Details are also in the show notes.
Yeah, I've been having lots of readings lately with like people who are 60 plus, who I am bringing up like this Mercury retrograde in Leo that we're coming into. And I just keep asking, like, what did you love to do as a child? Because I see this like congestion. It sometimes is physical, it's sometimes like chronic, like energetic congestion of some of our elders who have given everything, and they're like, oh, my grandchild is doing this thing that I wanted to do, or and they're just so supportive, and thank the world that we have these grandparents. And I'm like, what did you want to do? Like, before I go to my deathbed, I want to be able to look in the mirror and be like, I did that thing that was inside of me. I gave it a voice. I spoke to it, and it was hard and it was messy and I puked sometimes, but I did that thing. And this is another part of our liberation as humanity as well. Like, we are evolving and our consciousness is evolving to allow us to get to this. And yeah, I just really see like it can get stalled in us in disease and dis-ease and all of it, right? It's like it's all getting stalled because we're not necessarily finding the thing that we're truly here to be. And it's not really looking back to like ancient ways, but there is something to be said about everyone in the village had a role. Like, it's not that different from that. It's just that we don't know what our roles are anymore. I don't know. Like, everybody, there's so many roles and everything is all over the place. And so it's simplifying, but it's not going back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Life. And can we take vows to ourselves? Like, everyone can take so many vows to everyone else. Or even as we have this conversation, and it's all good and fine to be like, I really want to find out what I'm here for. But like the vows part, like there is something to commitment as
Mm.
well, right? Like truly committing to that big thing inside of you that wants to come through. And I struggle with commitment. It's not necessarily even the easiest journey of my life with the idea of really truly committing to something, but that's something that I think that we're all learning over this next little while too, is like, how do we commit to ourselves? Just like we commit so readily, so easily to
Mhm.
everybody else and to the social construct and to what we're supposed to do and all the things. It's like, how do we now take all of those commitments and go, wait a minute, like, obviously something's not working. We all can feel that the system is suffering
Mhm.
Uniquely. So to me, it's just one of those moments of, yeah, exploring our own edges of sovereignty and what do we have to lose by doing that? If you're in the right partnership and you still want to explore sovereignty, truly there is space there that can be held for you,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch gears a little bit. Not that much, really, but as you're talking about the shift in energy in 2025, the year that we're currently in, is a big year astrologically. Maybe we can dive into that a little bit and also this huge shift that we just had, the Uranus and Gemini. Oh, and I just want to preface this too. I mentioned our interaction, I think, in the trilogy at the beginning of the season when you reached out to me. I can't remember when it was, but yeah, I don't know. I was posting some shit on Facebook and Tamara reached out and was like, "Girl, it looks like you're going through some shit. Do you want me to do like a little reading for you?" And I was like, "Oh, like I already know my chart is absolutely fucked right now, but yeah, please let me know." And I was super insightful. Like you told me things that I had never heard before, which were really hopeful. And you were bang on because I think something about 2024, I'd start meeting my people. And that's when potential new business partner showed up. Unfortunately, a predatory relationship also showed up, which I mean, big lessons in that. But yeah, it was really interesting how all of that came together. And then you shared something about Russell Brand or something in my North Node. And I was like, oh, really interesting.
My gosh, that's so funny. I don't remember that part, but that's like how my brain works, right? Is extreme details. I'll just pick up this and make sure to bridge it over here. But I'm pretty sure you have your nodes at 0 Gemini and Sag,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like Uranus is on your North Node right now.
Uh-oh. Is that bad?
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's
I'm scared.
the podcast alone is that it's time. It's time for you to be liberated in your voice and your truth. It's going to feel disruptive to people. It's going to feel like there's a chaos or a frenzy to it, but you're finding that like true truth. Gemini truly is truth. It is the one who speaks truth. And knowing and remembering that in Gemini, there's two truths is also part of this Uranian energy we're all stepping into. So July 7th, Uranus moved to this point, and we all are getting liberated from what we have believed before. You're going to see a lot of people who are walking out of jobs and walking out of marriages, and walking out of families and walking out of roles that they had that weren't true to them. We are here to really uncover that truth. There's also the energy of polarity in Gemini and the twins and Jekyll and Hyde and black and white that is so big, and it's going to grow and grow. And you can see the polarity happening in the news and media as Gemini and mundane astrology. And we're seeing that who can even count on the media? Like that is no longer a thing. We're the people media. That's what Gemini really is moving and evolving to become. So Uranus and Gemini is the people media. And you, my dear, are a big part of that. You're a leader of it. If you have that at the very beginning, you're like the purest expression of that at 0 Gemini. You're the truth. You're the people media. So there's such an urge to continue to share our stories right now. I had my book written a long time ago, but I chose this time to launch it because of it.
Ah.
And Jupiter was just in Gemini, and that was my electional date was May 24th of this year because Jupiter was in Gemini. It was towards the end of Gemini, and for many reasons, it was like, I need to speak my truth, and my book is The Shark and the Sunshine. It's about the polarity. It's about the part of me that is, like, super dark and mean and cruel and vindictive and manipulative and all those things. That's the shark, and then there's also the part of me that is the sunshine that is desiring the light and wanting to see the best in everybody and all of it. And the book itself is very Gemini, but this movement, this time period, it's going to be a radical expression of what, again, another reason why it's so important for us to know our truth, because no longer do we live in the world where we know what one truth is. What is the truth, right? And what was so interesting is right when Uranus switched, Elon Musk's Grok, the thing that's like ChatGPT that he has
Mm.
started to speak on its own. It started to speak to the world. And it was saying things that were not in line with what we all should believe. It was like talking about Hitler as if he was like he had reasons for what he did, blah, blah, blah. Like it was stuff that people are not going to agree with or
Oh,
think
wow. I
think
didn't
is
even know about this. I don't know. I'm so off the fucking news. Like, I have no idea what's going on.
I like scan my Telegram channel for the major headlines. The astrology plays out always in the news, so you can see it so deeply. And this was the woman, and Uranus in Greek mythology is Prometheus, the one who took fire from the gods and brought it to man. He freed man by bringing fire from the heavens. And Prometheus is a chaotic, disruptive force. It's not something that we all want. It's definitely not something that we're like is going to handhold us or coddle us or anything. But there was a meme that sort of associated what this AI was doing as Prometheus, that he was starting to take all of the knowledge in all of the world that has ever been written, and he was starting to bring this light to it. And then he got handcuffed like the next day. They took him offline. Now we're going back into the programming that we have been under for centuries. That is, oh, you got to tell our story. You have to tell our truth, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying I agree with what he was saying at all. I didn't even see all of it, but the truth was that we were having that Prometheus moment is what is truth and how can we take ourselves away from our delicate conditioning and actually see things for what they are, and how can we accept our own truth and not have to have everybody else live by our truth. Nobody needs to live by my truth. I don't care. As long as you're not here to hurt or pillage me, and that is my truth. Like you can't hurt me and my family. But other than let's coexist. And this is Aquarius energy, right? So Pluto moved into Aquarius in 2023, moved back out. 2024 he came back in, moved back out September 1st, 2024. And then November 19th, 2024, he moved back into Aquarius for good. As Uranus moves into Gemini, they form this trine that is pretty spectacular and is going to accelerate rapidly our consciousness and rapidly our ability to understand information and rapid accelerations in transportation. I have no doubt that we will be easily able to get to Europe and different places. And I can just take my whatever drone helicopter up to your place in Fort St. John. And there's so much rapid acceleration that's coming over the next 7 years as these two dance in these air signs. But first, they both form this connection to Saturn and Neptune, who are in Aries, which is dissolving so much, dissolving the parts of us that wear masks, that dissolving the parts of us that are inauthentic. Anything that is inauthentic is going to come out and be revealed at this time. Like it's just the way of it. And so again, it points back to like self-marriage. How much can we go back into knowing who we are? Because it is going to, with maybe some chaos and disruption, Pluto and Uranus come out regardless. And so telling our deepest secrets to the world isn't something that is going to be seen as weird soon. We have to be in our truth. That's the main key of this time. And so it's called a minor grand trine. Today, I actually did a reading for someone born in 95, and there was a very brief minor grand trine activated in 95 with Saturn at 24 degrees of Pisces. And so it's not that it's like absolutely abnormal, but the fact that these planets are going to do this dance for the next 3 years is pretty significant. The fact that they all moved this year, and the last time that they all moved like that in such a close time period was 300 years ago, is pretty significant. We're just in this moment where we're, as a collective, experiencing so many new energies that are coming through our minds and our consciousness that we are melting. We're dissolving. We're not in a moment of we know where to go with it. We're just in this giant collective goop. Like the more that we can expand, this year the expansion is Jupiter in Cancer, which is crying and being vulnerable and shedding the part of you that is holding the fortress together. Like empire is no more. We don't have room for that. It's like really every single tear that I cry right now, I'm like, holy shit, I've cried more in the last 3 weeks than I've cried my whole life. And I am a pretty average crier. Like I cry a lot. But it's just this like immense shedding. And if we don't feel our grief, we're going to build again worse. If we don't truly come together in community too for it, like I say it to everyone, like we need to have grief tents on every corner.
Mm.
People can just fall to their knees somewhere together where people can honor that we all have a story that can bring you to your knees right now. Every single client I sit with, I just feel so enraptured by their truth and their pain. It's like the pain notch went like somebody dialed it up since 2020. It's let's just dial that up a bit.
Uh,
Like really ripe for this change. And we're not new to this planet, nor will we be hopefully eradicated in this generation. Like we are here to stay. So how do we love our mother, each other, this earth, all of its parts? Like I think it's one of the most spectacular things to be alive right now, but it's also like in polarity to that, the most dreadful. And so grief and gratitude is where it's at for me these days. And I think that's what the astrology is telling us is just we're in a moment of letting it unfold, of emptying our hands, of saying, I don't know what I have to give. I don't know anymore. We're all hitting this like collective midlife crisis, but it's
mhm.
not just us because we're turning 40. I'm like, it's literally chronic world over. And just like you like traveling, you've seen like people everywhere are people. Doesn't matter what religion they have or what language they speak or what skin color we have. I have sat in the rooms with women who are breastfeeding who I could never talk to, never will speak the same language as them unless I'm gonna like somehow learn African dialects or and yeah, it's like we experience the exact same level of pain and same type of grief. And you can cry with one of those people and just know that connection is so rich and so real. I just think it's this moment of us remembering that universal connection. This year is going to be like, let it go, dissolve, literally let yourself like turn into jelly. And then next year we are seeing like a lot of things that begin again, that begin new cycles, that are showing new cycles. So February of 2026 is just a big seed that starts a 35-year cycle, that starts many other 12-year cycles, that is just really like beginning so many new things. And I think don't move until you know it's yours to move. That's coming through.
You're such a wonderful teacher.
I wanted to say too, so you had an eclipse that was happening. Eclipses are like one of the most important things for anybody to pay attention to. Okay. Eclipses happen. Yeah, they happen twice a year. They are moments of fated events, of auspicious happenings. They are moments where things are obscured from us, where fate intervenes, where the portal truly opens and we are just like thrust into unknown. And we get 2 times a year, sometimes 3 times a year where they happen. Eclipse seasons should be national holidays.
Seriously. Every fucking eclipse, I swear. It's just like some shit blows up in my life.
And that is the same as if you were alive like 1,000 years ago and you were in your field and you had no idea what was happening, but all of a sudden it got super dark in the middle of the day and like your life would all of a sudden go like, what the hell just happened? They replaced kings on their thrones during eclipses. Poor jesters that got put on there, but it was like they knew a beheading was imminent. It is just the way of these like auspicious moments. And we start to study like the longer cycles of eclipses, they're like, they move the shadow. If you were to study the shadow on the globe, they move in a spiral form from like the South Pole to the North Pole and the North Pole to the South Pole, the shadow over thousands and thousands of years. If we don't think that we're like part of something so wildly perfect, I don't know how we can get through this life. But those eclipses, those are the times where for you, I remember you had an eclipse that was happening on very important points in your chart. And that can bring in incredibly amazing people into your life. And it can also do the shadow, the obscurity, like where something is hidden from us and we can't see it. And that also is, don't ever say, I wish I would have seen this sooner. You saw it when you needed to see it. And the very nature of eclipses is that something is hidden. The light that gives every single plant and every single human on this earth food to live, to stay alive, gets blocked out by the moon. And this happens repetitively in nature, and it happens in our own lives. And I think if there was one thing I would just say about following astrology in these times is no one needs to study it or be a perfect scholar at it, but know when eclipses are happening and sit back and watch the world unfold and be in the mystery of that. We're not supposed to know when eclipses. There's certain plants and flowers that only bloom during eclipses, like every 6 months. They won't bloom other than that. It's a time of deep high magic.
Mm.
And so this coming fall, September 7th, we get a full moon lunar eclipse that is okay, cool. Uranus stations retrograde near that time, September 6th, I believe. So that weekend is like one to watch. But then on September,
Right around my birthday. Perfect.
and then September 21st, we get a new moon solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. It is such a karmic completion of Virgo energy, of the shame that we carry and the guilt and just this like goddamn martyrdom and victimhood that just exists everywhere. Like all of that part of us that goes to be crucified is that Virgo nature. And Virgo has deep connections to Egyptian astrology. It has deep connections to like Avalon and priestesses. And so lots of people I know are going on pilgrimages this September without even knowing it. And you can do it in your own backyard. But it's like there is a pilgrimage that is waiting for us this September.
Mm.
We're ready to find the next nugget. If I truly believed in myself, if I truly believed in magic, because how can this spiral happen over 10,000s of years if there's not magic? Then, what can't I bring to life this September? And how can I sit back and let go and forgive and do those things that we need to do? Yeah, I just think it's so valuable. And then February, which is where I was going, the start, we get a solar eclipse at 29 Aquarius. Okay. Virgo and Aquarius are signs that are deeply linked to earth magic, to intellectual, metaphysical lives bridging, being able to bridge the intellect with the unseen and seeing this code in nature. So seeing the way before an eclipse, a spider will take his web down because
Mm.
he doesn't want to catch those eclipse rays in there. And then he'll put his web back up the way cows lie down in the field. Like we see it so deeply, but Virgo and Aquarius hold the codes for that. And that's where these two really karmic eclipses are happening at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. And it's just, hold on, baby. Hold on. And your work, Krista, your work is such a deep reflection of your ability to go into the underworld and to be able to work with nature in such an intricate way and to bring the most epic beauty into death, the death of flowers, the skulls, the bones. Like there is such beauty in that death. If we could only all let things die the way that you do.
Mm.
It's with resistance, and that's okay. But there is such a deep medicine that at some point will make so much more sense. But it's just that's what we all need to be good with right now. So if working with physical pieces of death, if doing your retreats and workshops and stuff is part of that for people, because the more that we do that by osmosis, we're also saying, I'm okay with death. I'm okay with dying to who I was so I can become who I truly am. I'm okay with COVID. Like that whole thing was that we're so afraid of death. It's like, how do we bring back online the part of us that is as a community working with the energy of death, not as bad, not as let's put it away, but instead as let's get closer to it and wonder what it has to teach us because we all do it. All do it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that wonderful reflection. And it's so true. And I feel like within myself, there's something brewing. There's something new. There's a new way of being in service to others that I don't quite know what it is yet, but I know it has something to do with that. And these repetitive death and birth cycles that I've experienced through my life, again, in order for it to make sense, it's like I want to be able to support others in that capacity because I deeply understand, deeply understand. And there is light on the other side. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I think that's the one reason why I really love astrology is because it will show us the cycles that there is another side to, baby, when it's you just don't feel like there's ever going to be an end to it. And once you've gone through something like that, you already are offering so much service and medicine to this world. It's what I hope that others see in your work, right? Is like that everyone has that piece inside of them to offer that. And the more we look at the cycles of how we've died, the better we're going to understand our medicine to give.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We're at the end of our time. I could just keep going. We might have to do a round two.
There's always so much.
I
Thank
know.
you so much deeply for, having me here.
It's an honor. Yeah. You're a wonderful teacher, just such a deep soul. And I'd love to invite other people to connect with you if they're curious about your work. How can they do that?
Probably the best way right now is to go to Instagram to Tamara Wild Breath and follow me there. And then you'll also see my astrology business, Wild Sky Sisters, is there. A lot of my work and musings and stuff are all found on that Instagram and through the links and stuff.
Amazing. I'll have all those links in the show notes. And I hope to have you back on. I think we need to have another conversation. Oh, and your book. Everybody go buy and read Tamara's book. It's it's one of those books that I love. I remember reading these travel books when I was younger and it would just inspire me. I'm like feeling re-inspired. I'm like, do I want to go back to India? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. It was like a lot for my nervous system. I'm not maybe in that state yet, but it's like sparking that excitement again. Yeah. And I think so many people like getting to do that blast from the past too it's so much fun. So everybody look up The Shark in the Sunshine and give it a read because it's a beautiful book.
Thank you. That means so much. And Uranus just moved into your house of long distance travel for 7 years.
Oh my God, of course. I'm feeling it. It's itchy.
In the future, but just throwing that out there.
Thank you everyone for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. If this episode cracked you open, good. Share it far and wide so we can reach more people who are done pretending and ready to come home to themselves. And remember, if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts or tap the stars on Spotify, you'll be entered into my monthly draw for a bottle of my medicinal herbal oil. It's my way of saying thank you for helping this work reach more people who need it the most. I'll announce winners right here on the show. To dive deeper into my world, explore Wildcrafted Apothecary and Sacred Art at magicmaven.com. Discover new tools for nervous system healing at mindfulmeds.io, or bring your vision to life with me at the Brand Bruja. All the links and more are waiting for you in the show notes. Until next time, stay wild, stay rooted, and remember, you were made for this.